you for a couple of years now. I've had a chance to actually watch you move. I know that you have a deep passion for mental health and really helping people out. You know my story. It's becoming a little bit more public now that I'm becoming more public because I've been able to confront a lot of it, quite frankly. And I just wanted to thank you in front of 8 billion potential people for showing up the way that you do. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Fred. It's what I do, and I really care about helping people, and I want to see people thrive and be well in this world.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about exactly just like I want this to have like a fireside chat feel. Okay. For me, it's been a long time. I don't like talking about mental health. I never have. I didn't think that it was a problem in my life up until I almost burnt the house down. So that's becoming more
Oh,
public
shoot.
as well.
Mm.
Yeah, you've been over to the house. So that's a pretty big house to burn
Where
down, right?
it's a nice house. I'm glad it's still there.
Yeah. I mean, but it's one of the reasons why I also sought help too, because as a veteran, especially a combat veteran, I saw some stuff, and people don't understand that that has an impact on you, and it always has personally and professionally. So I think it's time for me to really, despite my wildly known success as far as client acquisition and all the stuff, that's actually how me and you met. But it was like I'm seeing elements that are creeping into people's personal and professional lives, and I'll give you an example of it. One of the things that I'm seeing online as an example is how easy it is for people to still be manipulated to the point where, from an online marketing perspective, people are getting grifted, meaning money taken away from them in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? This could be like their last hope for trying to get out of the situation that they're in. It could be their last dollar that they're giving up on their mortgage because some guru is saying that they're the best thing since sliced bread. And we don't have to go in this direction, but I want to put color into exactly what me and you have seen. I can tell you what I've seen on the business side. I know you also work with clients as well, so you can feel free to share whatever you want. This is an open forum.
Yeah.
But the whole goal here is to really show people that there are some people who genuinely care, and
Yeah,
I got
they
kid.
definitely are. And, it's like their voices have been silenced because they've been like bombarded and lost in the sauce of all this like content that is consuming us and coming at us so fast that is not genuine. Some of it's made, some of it's AI, who cares? But it's being made for entertainment and for engagement and for personal gain. It's not really made for anything else outside of that. And a lot of people are consuming that type of content all the time in bucket loads. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. I care about helping people. I care about real tools that are going to help people, that are going to change their life. I don't care how you use Chat GPT. Use it as a tool. If it works great for you, I'm really pleased. If you love the images it makes, amazing, more power to you. But use it like however you kind of feel is helpful, because that's what it was designed for. And it is helpful. It's for content, but it's not gonna save us from.
Wait, so you mean to tell me you're not in agreement with people getting married to AI?
No, absolutely
That's a
not.
real thing.
I know it's a real thing. I've been reading about it. You should see the stuff that's coming my way right now. Like, people getting mental health help from these AI tools that are out there. And it's a source of comfort. I get it. There's not enough clinicians and not enough people who really genuinely want to help. I get it. But is it going to replace? No, because we are hardwired for connection and real belonging and a sense of community. And that is never, ever going away, no matter how amazing our technology gets. Those basic human needs are going to be with us for life because it's how we're designed. It's in our biology.
Yeah.
So, like, by all means, like, yeah, I mean, people get really excited about stuff and they're talking about all this stuff. And I'm like, that's wonderful. But, they're like, are you excited about this? I'm like, no. They're like, well, what do you care about? I'm like, I care about people doing well and thriving and becoming the best version of themselves. And none of those things are going to be incorporated or are incorporated into a lot of the stuff I see out there. So,
Wow. And that's why I love you. You're very raw. And if anybody can't feel
yeah.
that, then they need to really reach out to us and we'll help them get them feels because
Because
That's
that's the
exactly
real business of what we're actually doing. I mean, that's what I really actually do. I don't every day I see, Fred, as you know, anywhere between 5 to 6 people. I have done for the last 15 years. That's not uncommon. Most people in our field do that. And, we're doing people with real mental health issues and real severe diagnosis sometimes and all sorts of problems. I can't just sit there and give them some content I found out chat GPT. Like,
this is real. Look, you're behind the curtain, and that's why I honor and
yeah,
I thank you for really being real and coming out and letting
yeah.
people know because again, it's a real thing. I see it on the business side. I want you to keep going on your side though, because this is the reasons why we're talking about
Yeah,
this
I
right
mean,
now.
it's like, let's cut through the BS. Like, people have real problems. They want real help. Now they're engaging with like content and they don't know who to choose for what because it's like overwhelming out there and those things are not streamlined like we think they are. And they're going to all sorts of things from ayahuasca to like, all sorts of retreats. And if it helps, great. But I know that a lot of people are coming out of these things that they've engaged in for some kind of self awareness or insight, and it's not working.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
I'm
not.
seeing I'm, go ahead. Because I'm seeing it on my side in Groves as well. Because even as an example, when the whole online marketing and advertising world shifted back in 2020, as you know, I had that group New Room Collective. It's still active. I know we're still working on a few things. That's why we're doing this podcast. But
Yeah,
the whole goal is to really get people to understand that if you don't take charge and control and actually confront what's going on in your life, this will be a virus that's going to eat you up, period.
totally, totally.
So go into a little, I'm sorry, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
No, no, no.
Now, I was just say, go into a little bit more as far as how it shows up in people's life. And more importantly, like, why should people be concerned about mental health
Okay,
right
so
now more
this
than
is a
ever?
great time because we're just coming out of the holiday period. The holiday period is notoriously the busiest time in mental health. It is not a time where we cut down or we start quieting down and winding up there. That is not how it goes in mental health at all. We have a completely different game of affairs. November starts to pick up and we are busy right up until the beginning of spring for various different reasons. But the holiday periods are particularly triggering for all sorts of reasons, from your family dynamics to your personal struggles to reflecting on the year to the families and in-laws that you particularly don't like, kids you don't want to spend time with, grief. The list
Hey,
goes on and on and on. And it's the highest rates of suicide are seen during the holiday period,
yeah.
particularly Christmas. Christmas is particularly bad. And, like, just going back to your original question, like, you can't, I can't, I'm not in the business of creating content for that. Like that, that is actually the real life of what's going on. I'm in the business of really helping real lives and people. And I know what's going on the inside. I have access to insight. I see medical records. I see medication. And, I'm not, I'm not sitting here just creating entertaining content for like, cat videos. So, the thing is that the mental health symptoms, we've been in a crisis now for a while. They're getting exasperated and people are coming in with all sorts of triggers. But the more that we're getting away from community, from the things that really matter, that bring us value, which are actually, despite what the West tells us, is, money, success,
We're
that
gonna
kind.
talk about that because you know me. You know I just came back
Yeah.
from Thailand and Laos. We're gonna talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. So that what it tells us is very one dimensional and it's not connected. Like you can have all of that and still be really unhappy. You can have none of that and be unhappy. So those things aren't connected. It doesn't mean if you acquire those things that happiness is going to come, but that's what we're told and taught. And then everyone goes chasing that, right? But the mental health systems as like symptoms, I think are just getting, because I've been in this field now 15 years. I think they're getting worse and worse and worse. People are coming in more needy, more demanding. They're also coming in with a lot of self labeling, diagnosis. They're coming in with very fancy words because of all the content. They're coming in believing that they have family members that are this or that. And none of that is necessarily correct. Some of it can be, but a lot of it isn't. And it's because they've been consuming this overwhelming barrage of just crap, incorrect information by the bucket loads. I don't think that's helping. I think that's, I think that's adding to our mental health issues. But I see now that clients are coming in as needy as ever, needy for someone to listen to them, to be validated, to just speak to a person, to just have that like kind of reciprocated experience. They don't seem to be getting it. They're not getting it from society. They're not getting it from work. They're not getting it from their families, partners. They're just not getting it, you know?
Yeah, it's really divide and conquer at its highest level,
Yeah, it really.
and it,
Mhm.
it really is because even I'm getting goosebumps talking about this right now because even when I was in Thailand with my wife last month, it was like the quality of life was so amazing.
Well,
It was
sure.
people all over the place, highly social, and
Amazing.
I hardly seen anybody on their cell phone. It was just really an engaging, and the malls are thriving. It's just like you would think that it was like Christmas holiday at a regular old school mall because I'm Generation X, right? So,
Amazing. How
it
refreshing.
oh my god, yeah. We went to this one mall, it's like 5 levels. It was themed with different parts of the world, like San Francisco and Italy and London, and it was really a thriving environment, and I looked at my wife and I asked her, I'm just like, "Is this the way it is all the time?" She's like, "Yeah." And it's just the way, in my opinion, the way that the administration is set up because it's a lot more organized for social things. Like even us going to the street markets, it didn't matter whether we went to a super touristy place or if we went like back of behind the scenes where like you were like a native Thai person, right? We went all over the country, and what was interesting was just this theme of people genuinely caring about you and this theme of people like really wanting to have like real conversations. It
Yeah.
was like, wait,
Yeah. I mean, these are not abnormal things, but we've gotten so far removed from them with our modern living and the way we live in the West. But I mean, I've traveled through Asia too. I love Asia, by the way. I have such an affinity with Asia. I always have. I love their value system. I love what they believe in, how they go through life, their meaning of life. I've been to India. I've been to Thailand, all over Asia. I thoroughly have a lot of respect for Asia. And one of the things which I see there, which is so integral to their life, is gratitude.
yes.
They are full of gratitude and respect. Those two things are so embedded. It's not like they take a moment out and then they have a moment of gratitude. It's like that's just the way they go through life. And I think it really helps manage entitlement, but I also think it manages just their level of happiness because
Mm,
they're grateful for like everything. They're grateful for the
yeah.
weather, they're grateful for their parents, they're grateful for their just being alive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I want to jump in because I have a very specific example. We were headed back to the airport, and just to give our family just a thank you, we just like, hey, look, here's a few dollars. Lost their minds, like what? It's
yeah,
like they won the lottery, and it was just like, well, we just really want to thank you because we understand that you went out of your way and you're driving us all over the place. I was not expecting like a literal red carpet treatment the way that I had. It was incredible up to the point where we had even considered like possibly like living over there.
yeah,
The community had already painted a house for us to go check out. Like, I mean, this is the kind of stuff
uh,
that, and it was unannounced, and I'm just like, what is happening here? Like, this is as a combat vet what I fought for, but it's not the United
yeah.
States. Like, what's happening right now?
I mean, there's we really have an issue with a lack of humanity right now. This is why I think our mental health crises are just how we treat each other, the lack of accountability, the dismissiveness, avoiding kind of, I mean, this is not conducive for a happy, life, well-being, a life of well-being. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It
So I'm
really
gonna
is.
hit you. I'm gonna hit you with a direct question.
Mhm.
Mental health and resilience. What do you think the secrets are to inner strength?
I think your level of resilience, which I think a lot of people struggle with. I don't think it's something that's talked about. I don't think it's something that's taught. It's a skill set that you have to acquire, is not particularly high. We don't have
Mm,
a very high level of resilience. as in Western culture. It's really not something. And what happens is when you have different kind of what I call adverse experiences, unsavory experiences, life transitions, whatever you want to call them, you don't have anything that helps counteract that. So you have like a tragedy, you have some trauma that occurs, and you don't have any tools to
Yeah.
manage that. So therefore, you kind of spiral, you start to snowball, you go downhill. Some people turn to addiction, all sorts of problems, right? But I think resilience is something that is sincerely missing in just our from our school systems to our social systems to just society. It's a real tool that's missing. We don't have resilience. We're not teaching resiliency. And there's a direct link between how resilient you are and how much you access resilience and
Hmm.
how well your mental health is. There is a correlation there. I'm not sure what the statistics are, but I do know there's a correlation there.
No, that's fair. You're definitely a vetted expert. So I'm curious though, in relation to actual community building, do you
Mm,
think that's a huge missing element specifically in the Western culture? And before you answer that,
absolutely.
the,
I think
the
it's the
reason,
biggest cause of loneliness right now. A lack of community. You see, you're taught that if you have a relationship, if you get married, if you have a family, that becomes your community. And it does. But that's not the whole picture. And just because you're married, as we all know, doesn't mean you're happy. Just because you have children doesn't mean you're happy. Just because you don't have children doesn't mean I mean, none of these things are connected. But you're sold this model. And then there's people who go through life and they tick these boxes and they're just like, wait a minute, I've done all these things, but why isn't this working? And that's where we find ourselves because it's like you're sold this model of this is what a happy life looks like. But no, actually we need a lot more than that. Yes, you do need family, you totally need relationships, absolutely, but you also need friends. You also need things that you're passionate about. You need joy, you need fun. We need a lot. We need a hell of a lot more than what we're accessing. We need we need places of belonging. That's what religion kind of was about back in the day. Like people go to church, people felt like there was a sense of belonging, right? Um, and we need all of that. None of that is something that naturally exists in our fabrication of society in the West. None of it.
wow,
It really
you were
doesn't. Now,
serious.
it does in Asia.
Yeah, you're seriously crushing it right now. That's why I'm so glad that this is unscripted because you can't fake this. Either you got it in you or you don't and can get it in you. Because to me, here's the thing about it. As you know, I went on some very hard times mentally. And had it not been for my
Yeah.
interfaith, had it
Mhm.
not been for me understanding community and wanting structure, but also I'm going to throw in there civic responsibility, because one thing that I saw actually out in Asia that I think is lacking here is a sense of very much so civic responsibility. Like,
Totally.
and again, for the record, I'm nonpartisan because the way that my life has always been, I'm a hell of a researcher. I'm pretty good at research, and sometimes my research will take me to ask other questions. But for the most part, it's like what I've observed is the fact that the things that are supposed to connect us are the actual things that are engineered to divide us. Because here's what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna shut up. All the hatred and dissension and everything else that comes as a result of this environment is a product. And we can either be a product of our environment or we can work to control our environment, but we have to first become aware of our environment. And I think that's
I
where the
totally
problem
agree.
really lies.
There's no power in solo. Like the more, power comes from community. And strength comes from community. But the more divided you are, the less of a community there is, and therefore there is no power. So I can see why the conspiracy theorists are out there, and I've heard them a lot of times say that this is a method to control us. And I can see why they say that sometimes.
We can talk about the conspiracy theory stuff. And here's why I say that. I say that because, as you know, I've had a very high level of military training, right? So in that group that I'm talking about in particular, I asked the group, we had about 2,200 people, and I said, ask me anything. I got everything from Tupac to aliens. And I'm just like, look, guys, I think you're missing the point. It's just like, When I'm talking about the concept of conspiracy theory, it is specifically engineered to have you as a form of disinformation. So where is a gap in your life that's quantifiable that you're suffering from?
Yeah.
Because this, as an example, to me, in my viewpoint, because again, this is unscripted, I've had the 15 cars. I've had the big homes. I traveled all around the world and I was one of the most miserable people on this planet. And I was supposed to have everything. That was the ideal everything, right? So to me, it was a conspiracy theory for me to be like producing like that with no soul versus me actually having a container to put things in and going, "Hey, you know what, guys? I'm in the hunt. I'm a hunter. I'm coming back. Here are the spoils of war. As a community, let's enjoy this. Let me build you up. Let me show you what I've learned. Let me show you what works." And I didn't have that. I flat out lack that.
Well,
I
it's not something
lack
that's
that.
really I totally understand why you didn't have that, Fred, because it's not something that's really encouraged at all. We're not where in our, like, in our syllabuses in any of through life or manuals are we ever taught that?
I didn't get that memo.
No, there's it's not a memo of a way of being, like, you actually taught the opposite. Strive for yourself, do everything on your own, like, just everything is like this solo operation, and it's utter BS. It
Yeah.
really is a pile of shite, pardon
Yeah,
my
well, it's funny you say that because the more money that I made, the more money that I hated, like that I was making, and it became a self-destructive mechanism because I found myself becoming more isolated. Like that's a
Yeah,
real
I get
thing.
it, because that's
Because
what you're
I was
focusing on,
I,
'cause
I
that
wound up becoming the weirdo because I was able to like really, and I'm serious about this. I became the weirdo because I know how to build billion-dollar companies from scratch. Like that's the craziest thing like anybody can say, but it happened to me, and I'm just like not once, but like 7 times in my life. So I'm in this rock star mode in the automotive industry, but I'm one of the most miserable people because I'm highly visible, but I didn't even know who I could trust. You follow me? When you're playing at certain levels
yeah,
as a top level performer, well,
yeah.
you special. The reason why I'm saying this in particular is because you specialize in talking to high function and high performing individuals, right? So there's an isolation box that we get into, and it's officially known as executive chess. And I had no idea that that's what it was even called, was executive chess. I was boxed in and cornered in to still be able to produce, but be extremely miserable.
I mean, our
So
life
to
has meaning because of the people in it and because of our connections. Their self-fulfillment does have a part in how we feel about lives and if our lives give meaning, but by no measure is it any larger than the other part. It's all kind of pretty equal. That's what I'm saying. We need a lot of things. So I totally get that. I totally
yeah.
get I've
Yeah, so
met
the
a
other
lot of
thing I
people
want
in that position. I mean, just talking about corporate culture, we'll going back to how are you seeing what's going on. I do work with high functioning people. You should hear the stuff I hear about corporate America in my sessions. I mean, I've had very high level people that I see. I can't reveal names, obviously, for confidentiality. I'm
I'm
talking from
tracking.
CEOs and I'm talking all the big corporations from Sony to Disney, you name it. I've had clients from every major, particularly out in California, corporation. Oh my God, you guys. Like, like what the literally the hell that they endure every day that's been normalized. I don't even know where to begin with that. And there's no end in sight. There's no
Yeah.
end in sight, you know?
Yeah. I wanna take a look at that a little bit because I think what I'm hearing, because this is a me too, regardless of the actual corporation, the structure involved is what can become divisive. Because what I've observed, and this is actually one of my strengths, in order to counter my fear of isolation, I actually started going, wait, I need to start producing producers who can actually take my job. Sounded counterintuitive, but I figured if I could build more of me up, and I've done that. Even on the online marketing space, I'm known for building executives, right?
I get
So
that.
so that was to me a healing mechanism because I no longer started suffering from the isolation and I looked at it more as succession planning. That was my turning point right there.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wish more people I wish the you see, leadership comes from the top. and the company culture and mission statements are set from the top. So if that's not something the top leaders are accessing, it trickles down and it trickles down and it trickles down. And oh my God, the level of mental health issues that I've seen people have coming out of corporate America is like nowhere else I've seen.
Yeah.
It really is. And I mean, I don't have all the answers, no one does, but it's like literally a lifetime of, and the longer they stayed in it, the more mental health issues they have. Yeah.
100%. I'm a product of that product as well. And that's one of the reasons why, without even the pivot, that's why this channel is called Signal Clarity, just for that reason.
Wow, I get it.
Yeah, what I discovered was real simple. If I'm the source of information, then I should also be able to have an environment that can not only nurture that source, but also facilitate it.
Right.
So, what I wind up doing, and this is a real huge successful action, like I was able to get the idea down on paper and then from there figure out who my top leaders were or the ones that were coming up. And I would give them bits and pieces. I would give them the entire thing. Like even today, like I gave you the entire, like, this is what we're doing, right? But
Yeah.
what happens is people own the parts that they could own. And I said, look, own as much as you can of this. We'll
Yeah.
figure out what you own and why you own it. And then I had like five other people and was like, hey, look, you guys take bits and pieces of this. And next thing I know, what happened was I went from being on this like flagpole, right? I'm just going straight up. The success went straight up. But I'm on that top of that flagpole by myself to the point where now I had pillars. I had five people and it became more of a pyramid and we were able to build the blocks together so we can sustain it. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, how did that come about? Lots of pain. but it's the craziest thing. And I just said the story last night. I was in Waikoloa Village in Hawaii. Anybody who's been to the Big
You
Island
know I'm a
knows.
local girl, right?
I know. You're
Local
a
girl.
local girl. So
I
you
was
know how
born in
baller so,
Honolulu.
so you know how baller Waikoloa Village is, and I was at the Hilton down there, right?
Yeah.
And this is where like all the celebs go. And I'm in downtown Waikoloa Village. It's around 10:30 at night, having a Mai Tai. And you met Regina. I call her up. She's still up playing Candy Crush. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I can't sleep because you're not here. And it was at that moment where I was just like, I need to really change my life. And the next day, you know how it is. It's like all the black rocks, and then you got the white rocks. I like putting her name in the white rocks. I'm just like, this sucks. I'm over here in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, about to go over on the Hilo side, and I'm just like, she's not here. And I'm like, I got to change my life. That was the moment.
I get it. I totally get
Fucking
it.
paradise.
And sometimes we have those revelations, and I think when people get angry, actually, most people get really worried when they get angry, they get frustrated. But I think that's a good sign because it means that it's a catalyst for change. And if you're frustrated and you're angry about things in your life, it's like it should be a catalyst for change, of doing something about it. And I think people mistake that for like, oh, I should just like silence the anger or not be angry. It's like, no, you should actually just kind of figure out what's going on and then make steps to change your life around.
I'm glad you said that because that is a part of what I did. That was one of the secrets to my inner strength. So here's how I was able to reverse engineer it a little bit. I
Mhm.
was able to take that anger and that frustration and say, how is this my strength?
Yeah,
Because it's an energy source.
I
And I
get it.
don't like being negative. I already was suffering from, PTSD is from being out in the desert. That's a whole different story in my life. But to be able to really know that there are people who rely upon me, and these are thousands of people, like literally if I make a wrong decision, jobs can be lost. Like we can't
Yeah,
grow an economy.
gotcha.
Everything just starts going sideways. It's a tremendous amount of pressure if you don't have the correct mechanisms that are supporting you, as well as the people and the community. So I was able to figure out the most graceful way that I could probably leave, because again, we were crushing it like from a financial standpoint, was to be able to really build up enough people around me to like soften the blow when I did leave. Like that was to me because again, it was like my seventh company starting from scratch that we
Yeah,
by the time I left out, the valuation was about $400 million. Okay. So it was on track to be another $1 billion company. It became one. But it was like I was such a key person that I felt like I would betray people if I was to just like go bye, so I did my best to build the best
Take a sense of
infrastructure.
responsibility, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So for the high performers who are struggling with those mental health issues, and this is
Mm,
a form of inner strength, you know, olive branch that I can give you because it's what I did. It worked. And again, she's a professional. I'm not. Take whatever you want out of this and use it at your own discretion. But my point in saying that is I'm a giver in a taker's market, and that's one of the secrets to my success. I've always said that. People have asked me, "How have you been so successful in the car business out of all businesses?" Because it is the mushroom theory, when for starters, to keep you in the dark and feed you trash all the time, right? And I was just like, well, I'm just a giver in a taker's market. I said that all the time. What's the secret? I'm a giver in a taker's market. Don't even ask me anymore. Let me just
yeah, I
make a
get it.
t-shirt. Because again, that affects mental health.
It does. All of these things, I mean, there's a lot in the world that affect our mental health right now. There's a lot of different factors. This feeling of, oh, Fred, by the way, you've gone a bit blurry, just so you know. I don't know
I
why.
notice. See, all the Murphy's Law stuff is just going to happen, right?
I'll keep talking, shall I?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just went a bit blurry. I have no idea all of a sudden.
I'm here. We can
Yeah.
still
No,
keep
it's fine.
talking.
Blurry and staticky. Oh, how weird. It's not me, is it? No. Okay. Hmm.
It's like I said, anything can and will happen right now because we're having such a powerful conversation, and I'm okay with whichever way this looks. I'm not
Okay.
editing anything because this is the power of what we do and who we are. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So
I think people need to start getting real about what's actually happening in their life, not the version. You reach a point in your life where and it kind of does happen around, like, I would say 40s, 50s. I think that's the prime age that it happens, right? Where you got to take a gauge and just see if the life you're living is anything even remotely close to the one that you had hoped for. And, for some people, it is. And I'm just really happy for them if that's the situation. But I know a lot of people where that's not the case. And that is, you do have to get real about what your life is about and what it's become. Not the one you hoped for, not the one you think you're going to get, but the one you're in right now. People don't seem to have that ability to become grounded and become really present about what their life looks like at the moment. They are living either in the past of what their life used to be like, or they're living in the future of what their life's gonna be like, but absolutely not in the present. And that doesn't help. And there's a lot of people living in that kind of fantasy delusional reality, and it's about to get worse. It's about to get a hell of a lot worse because now we've got tools that will help remove you and make things more of an illusion. And you've got all this stuff so it's like, it's escapism, it's a distraction. But, people are not able to really face what their lives are about and what they've become around. And the ones that are really doing the hard work, I have all the time in the world for people like that. If you really want to change, if you really want to understand what's going on or what's happened in your life, you know, we're here for you. Like, Fred's here for you too. I mean, I have time for people like that all day long. I have people waking up at 5 a.m. to just like talk to me. You know what I mean? So I'm there to support that. Will never shut that down. I have all the time in the world for people like that. But there's plenty of people who aren't, and they're living in this like delusional reality of this version of their life they're going to hope to have. And it's just like, meanwhile, their whole life's going to pass them by.
yeah, it's really hopium. And that's the craziest thing about this whole process is that, like, what I've really observed just from getting back into talking to human beings, because
Yeah.
I was so isolated, because again, it was a 1-2 whammy for me. Like, not only was I isolated on the road,
Yeah.
but due to my military status,
Yeah.
I still had to walk and talk a certain way and move a certain way, and I didn't really know who to trust. And it wasn't until like November 2020 when I finally really had a chance to talk, and just like, okay, cool. So it's just a crazy life that I've had as far as isolation goes, and it would make the average person probably go a little bit nuts, right? But the thing about it though is, for me, being able to really have some form of community and people who genuinely care about you and they want to see the best for you, that to me will contribute to the inner strength, because what we're looking to do, at least in today's situation, is my whole goal is to cut through the noise. That's why I keep saying signal clarity. Like as an opinion leader, it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm really being super clear about what I'm for, what I'm against, what I like, what I don't like. Because again, I'm a critical thinker. I'm not a critical person.
Mm.
And if you're
Yeah,
able to really focus in on becoming a critical thinker versus a critical person, then you will be able to discover this humanity element that's missing right now.
yeah,
Because what's happening is that things have just been so weaponized from a technology standpoint
totally.
that we are really divided and conquered. And like I said, I keep going back to this thing where I probably in my mind less than the whole practical month I was there, less than 10 people I saw on their phones. Like, that's
Right.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's
It's
not
and I'm
uncommon.
talking about we're at the mall where you would think the kids would be on their phones and they're not even on
I
the
mean, I
phones.
know, because as you know, I spend a lot of my time out of the US, and it's not as uncommon. Everyone does have their phones, but they're not on it as much, you know, and they are more present, and it's amazing, and they're living like these lives, and, yet they have like so much less in terms of like materialism, they have so much less because the US is the wealthiest country on the planet. We have so much, yet we don't have anything at the same time. How is that possible? It's like
That is true cognitive dissonance. Yeah, that's true cognitive dissonance. That's exactly what it is.
like
And
we've been sold a lot of things. Like and you even see it in all the advertising. Like if you get this, you're going to be happy. If you go on this medication, you're going to be happy. If you get an augmentation of your body part, you're going to be happy. It's like, no, you're not. You're not. There's an entire industry waiting to benefit off your unhappiness, not of your self acceptance, not of your self-love, but of your unhappiness. It's like, "Oh, you don't like your nose? Okay, great. Let's go get it fixed. I'll see you da 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 da. Oh, you don't like the weight." I mean, the whole weight loss industry is based on that, you know? It's completely based on not accepting yourself. And I do get that you need to be within a BMI or you need to be around, but there's an entire industry waiting to feed off of your unhappiness. From personal trainers to nutritionists to there's a whole team waiting for you. Just say the word. They'll come for you, you know?
you know what? I think that's the reason why our technology is just going crazy, because it never happens to me except from when I'm talking to you, for
So
the
fun.
record. But let's go into a little bit further more about it. Let's talk about happiness. Because to me, happiness at this point in time really is a superpower. There's a lot of
No, totally
elements.
agree. And whenever I ask my clients, like, define happiness for me, they can't do it.
Really?
They can't do it because they identify it as a final destination. Happiness is not a final destination. So they're like, well, you can be happy when da 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 da. It's like, so why can't you be happy now without that? It's like, no, you can't be happy until you have da 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 da.
If I got that, then okay,
Then,
the
or
hypothesis.
when I have the job I want, when I get married, when my son graduates, what it's like, so you can't be happy in the process? Why not? Because they see it as a final destination, and happiness isn't a final destination. It's a state of being. And we all know it comes from within. And there's a lot of relying on external factors that'll make you happy. Like I'm gonna be happy if. But meanwhile, like it actually comes from you within. You can change your environment, you can change a lot of things, but you can still be pretty unhappy
Yeah, 100%. Well, that was me, because I had all the elements of what everybody should be happy for, and
and not
it was
happy. Yeah.
not happy at all. And it's so funny too. It's so funny because I actually had this conversation. I went back to where I'm from, and it's a lot of violence there, and I'm hearing gunshots, and that's actually more relaxing for me to go to sleep to. Like,
Oh no.
straight up. I mean, I can't make this up. I was just like, how is it possible that I can actually be happy and I just heard like some shotgun blasts? This is crazy. But I came up with nothing. but what we did come up with was values. We came up with good conversation. We
Yeah.
came up with connection. We came up with
Yeah.
really caring about our neighbors. Like we
I
knew
mean, that's
everybody
what
who
I
was on our
really
block.
care about. I mean, that is what I care about. I don't care about much else anymore at the moment in life. Everything else is a means to get that. Like being financially stable, yeah, it's important, but it's also it brings comfort. But does it bring the sense of massive meaning and blah blah blah? But no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It brings comfort. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, you're really killing it right now. I want to go back into a few things that you said more specifically with like high performers.
Mm.
Do you think how have you seen like high performers show up before they come to see you? Like are they already in a burnout mode? Are they getting to
They're
burnout?
in a burnout mode. Like you said, they've ticked all the boxes to and achieved like a lot of success in their like, professional life, but they're unhappy and they can't figure out why they're unhappy. And they've taken all these antidepressants, some have been to treatment centers, some are coming out of corporate life, but they're unhappy. They have the home, they have the kids, they have the lifestyle, they're unhappy, and they cannot figure out why they're unhappy. And their unhappiness is being masked by, I don't know, all sorts of things, overspending, anything from overspending to porn addiction to drugs, alcohol. Mm. I mean, we see it all the time. We see it all the time. Look, if money really was the only route to happiness, then why is it that we have had so many celebrities who've won Grammys, who have everything that possibly money can buy, were so unhappy and have ultimately resulted in suicide? You know,
Yeah.
it's
Let's
not
talk about that. Let's talk about that please because I brought that up yesterday.
it's
I was
not
talking to one.
good. And I say this
Yeah.
because I've been at top addiction centers as the treating therapist. I've been in those rooms and spaces. I've had those conversations with some of those celebrities over the years of my career. And yeah, it's like if that was the answer, then how come, you have people who've been on that path and have reached right at the top and they're lonely and depressed and unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah, because that and it's specifically one of the guys I was talking to yesterday, he was just like, "Why are you honing in on that?" I'm like, "Because that's what money buys." And then people want more and more and more and it's like these your synapses just kind of get blown out of your head and you know about that because that's what that is. That dopamine hit, they're looking for more and more and more of a
Well, I saw a
dopamine.
very interesting quote the other day, and I don't know where it was from. I think someone sent it to me, but it said something along the lines of, don't quote me completely, but it said something along the lines of America, it's not we're the wealthiest country in the world, but it's not the case that we can't afford to feed our poor. It's a case of we can't satisfy the rich.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, again,
I
I'm
see
I'm
that.
nonpartisan and non-biased, but if I
I
had to
can
take an
totally. I've seen
educated
that for
look,
years.
well, let's take a look at that. Here's how I framed it yesterday. Okay, this is how I exactly framed it. What's happening that I'm observing is that if you look at a superpower, America genuinely is a superpower, and here's why. From a geographical standpoint, we're unassailable. Like
Totally.
we've got protection on the East
Totally.
Coast, the West
Yeah,
Coast. You
absolutely.
go into the central of America, we still have enough where we can have large container ships go in and out. Like we have the
Mhm.
ideal scene. We're not like Russia where we freeze over. We're not
No,
like Africa where it's the water's too shallow, so you can't really have too much commerce. Like we are really, and we're not landlocked, so we're not always worried about our borders shifting, right? But for the most part, as rich as we are geographically, everybody should be fed like five or six or seven or 20 times over. And it's just not the deal. The resources are being recalibrated, whether it's water, whether it's air. It's just like, okay, like what's happening right now and you wonder why you got somebody on the streets and it's just like we are the most wealthiest nation. It's literally like even going to Thailand, it's 4 to 1 on our money. When you go to India, it's 4 to 1 on our money. It's just
yeah,
like
I
you
know.
can live like a king or a queen, but I've observed that I had more fun just hanging out with my wife, going hanging out and doing some street shopping, getting some
Yeah,
chicken on a stick. It's just like
yeah.
what.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, you're told that, like, only happiness will come if you're able to go, like, to this restaurant, and, like, it's not true.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's funny you say that because you've been over to the house. So So mama cooked the best, like, what's it called? Tri-tip or whatever.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh my God. And she's like, that's a huge compliment coming from you because I've been to all the best places. I've had like $25,000 dinners. I've had all of that crap. It's just like, so what? Like, you made this out of love. It was the most
Totally,
perfect
because
one I've ever had in my
it's
life.
love that went into it, and it's who it's from.
Yeah. She wasn't doing a salt thing, charging $2,000 for a steak. It was just like, it was good. It was
Yeah,
good. But
amazing.
these are the things that do ultimately, to your point earlier, I want to recap and come back around as far as like it takes a lot, but it doesn't take a lot for your mental health. It's just like a stable foundation is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And having all of those elements, those little small micro elements that make the macro environment, right? And then from there we can just really work to protect that environment if we do it correctly,
The
right?
other thing, Fred, is I don't see a lot of people growing up with a solid, like, constitution of self.
Mm.
That our youth are not growing up right now. And I know because again, I see them and I speak to them and I have millennials, I even have siblings that are millennials. So I know they're not growing up with a solid constitution of like, this is who I am, this is where I come from. If anything, they're on shaky ground. They're ridden with anxiety. They're ridden with self-doubt. Actually, someone sent me a book to read right now. Forgot the author. It's called The Anxious Generation.
Oh
It's like
wow.
a huge hit right now in the US. I'm just starting it. We've literally created an anxious generation. People aren't born anxious. You're not born depressed either. But our youth that are coming through with the influences that they have right now, they're not being mentored and they're not growing up with this solid sense of self. And that, you know, the thing is, everything else that happens to you keeps getting out of that. But it's like a tree that doesn't have like roots, you know. It doesn't have solid roots, and they're getting swayed by like all this like stuff that is kind of coming at them. So it really is sad to kind of see that, given it's the youth and the next generation that's coming through. They do not have enough self confidence. They do not have high self-esteem. They doubt everything they do. They're always in this comparison mode. How can you not be with all the social media? And it's really worrying. And it's horribly worrying for their parents. And they're all in therapy. They are
Wow.
all in therapy. I hardly know anyone who's not. And if they're not, they're worse off. If they're in therapy, they've at least got a chance they're working with someone good. But if they're not in therapy, they're really struggling. And their parents are beside themselves, trying to get them like whatever it is they need, you know?
Yeah, so that goes back into a little bit more I was talking about as far as, is that a resiliency issue? Is that a mental toughness issue?
Yeah, we're not building a mentally resilient or tough young people. We're living in an age where there's a lot of accommodation, special privileges. Everyone likes to play the card of like, I have this the need, that need. And we're not being told like we're not hearing like you got to suck it up and do it. Those aren't things that are like being taught. And to be fair, not to disqualify people who really do have disabilities of sorts. I know that of course they do exist, but we're living in a time of accommodation. It's a constantly accommodating people for every need and everything they bring in. So the status quo, because I also teach in academia. I teach at Pepperdine University in the graduate program. I've been there for over 8 years now, and it's like I train therapists and young trainees coming through the system, and I seen some of them are quite young too, and I just kind of see there's always like they always want something. They want an extension, they want more time. They always want, and everyone's like got a special case all the time about something. We're not living, and if you say no, you have to justify it with an inch of your life as a professor. And these are serious problems. Like, what are you teaching? And now you're going to teach that youth who's going to graduate with those like advanced degrees. You're now going to go into the workplace, and they're going to constantly want feedback. They're going to constantly want all this stuff. It's not going to happen. So we're not teaching. We're not like helping the situation by accommodating everybody all the
Mhm.
time at all.
Mm, okay. I'm gonna hit you with two unique questions based on
Mm,
what you just said.
yeah.
Your brain, who's in control, and your mind, who's in control. because one's physical, one you can't see.
Mm, that is interesting. What is the like, who do you think's in control? I mean, I think it's a constant switching back and forth. I think your brain's responsible for certain things, a lot of them unconsciously to keep you alive and, unconscious processes and bodily process. But I think your mind and specifically your mindset has a hell of a lot to do with what you decide to do or don't do. And we don't develop that. We don't nurture that. We don't grow that. We don't feed that. We don't give it vitamins. Like, we don't grow that. We don't grow mindset. Um,
Why not? Why do you think that is?
I don't think it's something that is, that's actively like incorporated in school systems, or because I don't think it's a benefit. Like, people don't see it as a benefit, right? They'd rather teach you algebra and a bunch of stuff you're never going to use in school than really actually teach you what you're really going to need in life. All the classes I teach and my students and my associates were absolutely vouch for this are very practical classes because that's just who I am, So, and I couldn't stand being in the school systems myself, going through it and being taught things that I'm never going to be able to use. And there's a lot of academia that is like, so all my classes are very practical. I'm like, okay, so what are you going to actually say to the client when they're in front of you? And it's like,
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, so this is not, so the 2 years you've done is just go straight out the window right now because you don't even have a script of what to say. Because, like, I don't know, but I think we're not, I don't think it's something that's incorporated enough. And I think it really needs to be, you know? And I think there's too much emphasis on stuff that isn't important, that we don't need anymore. Why do we need, like, I don't know, some of the stuff they teach in school these days? You don't. What do you need to actually teach? I'll tell you something that you really need to teach teenagers right now as a class or something. You need to teach them to watch out for red flags and toxic relationships. They
Mm.
need to learn that in school, not through life experiences, not because they've had a narcissistic boyfriend or girlfriend, not because they find themselves in a domestically violent but you need to teach that early. You need to teach the understanding of how you articulate boundaries and consent early. These are things that have to be like, this is part of the school's responsibility and the parents' responsibility. They're both. They're equal, right? You can't, parents can just say it's up to the school. School shouldn't say it's just up to the parents. It's equal responsibility, but it's not. It's absolutely not. And where in school do they cover that? They don't. That's actually what you're going to need in life because you're going to deal with people.
Yeah, well, to me, that actually comes under also as well as, yeah, responsibility and also the ability to create an environment where someone can actually have self-discovery.
Yeah.
Because because to me that should be the product. It's because here's what's happening. At least this is what I'm seeing online.
Yeah.
You have a whole bunch of personal development gurus, professional experts, and this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, by the way. So it's not like what you're saying people aren't actively looking for. But
Yeah.
what happens is you get these thought leaders or these opinion leaders who come through, and like we talked about before, oh, all of a sudden I'm the expert, and here is my trauma, and for my course for only twenty thousand
Okay, so
dollars.
the first clue straight away is that when anybody who's a trained professional in the field of mental health or personal development, the biggest red flag giveaway is that the first thing you're trained to do is that you never talk about yourself because you're holding space for the client and it's the client's experience and you are there to validate and acknowledge and like hold space for that. So talking about yourself and your experience is actually considered inappropriate. But people who are creating all this content out there wouldn't know that. That's the first.
Well, that's why we taking them to church right now, because and
Yeah,
this is a
like
real
nobody
epidemic.
does that, because you spend years and years learning that's exactly what you don't do. And what like exactly, and that is the first thing people do. I'm an expert. Why are you an expert? Because I had this one traumatic experience. Okay, but that doesn't make you an expert. I get it was a bad experience, but it doesn't make you an expert. That's what we have out there in abundance. And you've got like snake oil salesmen who are like, charging people whatever, saying they're going to cure their situation, and people are so
You
desperate.
and that's a word you definitely can't use,
Yeah. Cure.
cure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because this is the reasons why the FTC is like cracking down on people because even what we're talking about falls under what they call YMYL standards, which means your
Yeah.
money, your life, which means that you really have to be a vetted expert in order to be even qualified. Because here's what's happening now.
Yeah.
This is the other reasons why this is called signal clarity. I'm tying in the personal and professional reasons why we're communicating because what happens is now because there is so much fakeness out there, there's deep fake, there's AI, there's
There is. There's a lot.
answer engine optimization, search engine optimization. A lot of these search engines and people who are looking for experts now have to cut through the noise in order to find them. So, and I'm telling my clients this, I'm like, we literally have 23 months for you to really establish your authority online because just like with search engine optimization, that window is going to get closed and
Wow.
either you are the expert or you're not. It's not to say that it's impossible to get listed and get mentioned, but the reality of it is what you're saying is so spot on right now. Even Google has started like they've stopped sharing their data so that they can just work on their own AI stuff. They're like, we're not going to feed this fire. They started burning down their own forest because there's so many fake people out here who don't really understand that they're truly hurting people.
Yeah.
So
And
we
it's
have to put some type of thing on
like
there.
things they're telling them to do, and because there is no ethical moral compass there, and they don't care, and you don't know what moral compass they're coming with. But I mean, I get there, look, I get that sometimes people want to share their experience because it makes them relatable. There is a small element of that. Okay. But when you're starting that or using that as a marketing advertising tool, that's the problem. That's how they're using it, right? And that's the biggest red flag because like that's not holding space for people and their actual real issue. That's kind of saying that I'm an expert and I can help you because of my experience. It's a completely different, even energetically, that's a completely different level of approach. And I really and truly believe right now people are confused. Like people just want help and they don't know who to go for. I always ask people why they chose to work with one person versus another. You should hear the stuff I hear. It's hilarious. Like it can be as simple as, oh, that person really helped my sister. So if it's good enough for my sister, it's good enough for me. I'm like, okay. Did you ever think to check about anything to do with their credibility? And it's like, they never thought about it. They never
Mm.
thought about it. And it's fascinating. It's like, well, what makes you choose work like going to an, I don't know, ayahuasca retreat or a voodoo retreat versus like someone else? And it's like the decision making process is really flawed because people are just desperate. Like they just want someone to help. They don't almost care who helps them, and they don't know who to go to for what. Right? And by the way, we're not the only ones in the field struggling with this, Fred. I have spoken to the legal field. The legal field is having issues because there's a lot of people who are claiming they're experts on legal issues when they're not qualified lawyers. Doctors have this issue right now in the medical field. There's a lot of people claiming that functional medicine and that they're doctors when they're not doctors. And they are now because you can prescribe and they're allowing a lot of people to prescribe in America because it's a crisis. So it's like they can also prescribe. There's a lot of things going on. Nothing's like in its place. So when you don't have a pyramid of like a hierarchy of like, look, this is the expert standards here and then this is like everything else. This is what happens. Like the consumer is like client is so confused. They don't know who to go to.
Well, it sounds like the opposite of hierarchy is anarchy based on what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's like this is what's going on out there, but we're not the
Wow.
only ones. I mean, I had some relief knowing like we're not the only ones like
Wow.
struggling with this because I
I,
really
I, I gotta pause that right there because for anybody who don't know you, what she said was more than a bomb. That's like nuclear level. Tell you are the truth, and for you to say that is so huge. I just got to put a pause right there because you're right. I mean, it's just for you to even see and observe and just go, you know what? This is absolutely crazy, and it's really crazy on a different level.
it's
Do you actually?
dangerous and hurtful, and it's really because I see the other side of it. And the one thing where it's like game over is when insurance gets involved, at least in my field. I don't know with legal and the medical. I know medical as well. because it's mental health is an extension of medical. We're backed up by the medical field, right? And I know that is where they draw the line. They're like, we need like the only person signing documents on medical records are professionals. No life coach and none of that because they can't do that. They have liability and you'll know about that liability issue and stuff. They can't do that. So they're like, it has to be like a certain person, and this is verified based on their medical license or their mental health license, and you're the one signing off on those records. They don't even accept associates. Associates, their supervisors have to sign off if you're not licensed yet, like doing your hours to get licensed, as a mental health professional. So it's like that's the place where they like draw the line because they can't mess around with like, I'm an expert in whatever because I said so. They can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder
I'm
how
really praying and
Hmm?
no, we're good. I'm just saying I'm really hoping and praying that our first ever podcast has actually stuck because this is like the crappiest video I've ever done in my life, and we have the best content in the world.
Was it
Like,
crappy videos?
well, my stuff is going in and out, and again, it's going to be technical issues. But the whole point of this whole conversation, though, I think people will get regardless of how the
Yeah.
quality of it is. So please forgive me for like I said, we're just doing our best here to get the message out, guys. But the reality of it is more to come, and that's one of the reasons why me and Teyhou have really said this year we're just going to really nail down and really like help people on a massive level because look, I didn't ask to get into this fight. I didn't think I was going to be dying on his hill, so to speak. But I'm like you. I'm a humanitarian. I got to help. I can't sit here and just know that there are valid, proven, vetted solutions, especially as practical as you are and as practical as I am. It's just look, if you have to be willing to do something about it. You've got to want to do
Yeah,
something
and
about
then
it.
a level of humility of going, "Look, whatever I'm doing, something's not right, something doesn't fit well, and I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna, like, surrender, wave the white flag, and get help." And help is available, and there are solutions for it, but it does require you to, like, challenge yourself a little bit and be willing to look at yourself through, a very high level microscope.
Yeah, 100%.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes one of
So
the things my clients bring in, I mean, they say you can't imagine some of the things I've heard over the years, but some of the stuff they bring in sometimes, I mean, I'll say something like, "Wow, who told you that?" Like, we'll do an exercise on your inner critical voice, which I think is we all have one. I've been talking about the inner critical voice for years. We all have one. If you guys wanna work on your inner critical voice, I'm always happy to do that. It's one of my favorite activities to do. We all have one. So I have a particular way of taking someone through that activity. And it's like there's huge revelations and insight and introspection from that, right? And then I'll say something like, they're holding on to like these core beliefs, things they really believe are true about themselves. And I'll be like, who told you that? And they'll be like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. They'll say something like, I heard it. I'm like, so why'd you decide it was true? Just because you decided something was true and you stuck it on yourself like a sticky label doesn't mean it is.
wow.
And it's like, and then all of a sudden they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, you can change that, right? And they're like, but I've like if I've always believed like I'm a whatever, I don't know, I'm a lazy person. I really believe that. And then other things that come happen in my life, I've justified it because of the lens of I believe I'm a lazy person. It's like, and then I come along and I'm like, how about we replace that with something else? And you take that sticky label off and you put another one on. It's like, oh my God, I can do that. And you're like, yeah. And people are like, this is the thing, Fred. People are so attached to what they believe is true about themselves. And it's like, take something like, well, how's that serving you? It's not serving you. Because otherwise, if it was serving you, you know what? We wouldn't be talking right now. So it's not serving you.
Mm.
I mean, that is really the foundation of where we grow from. Like, it's not, whatever you've been doing is not working for you. If it was, we wouldn't even be here. Now, let's
So
change that.
so here's something that no that I'm tracking. So here's something that's interesting about what I'm seeing right now. How do you even get to that level of communication with somebody that they're willing to make that kind of transformation?
Well, I think because they're already high functioning, and they've hit so many goals and milestones and they understand what achievement and success looks like, they're probably in a place where they are fed up and frustrated that they have met all these standards that they thought were important and want to learn something about themselves that they have not been able to access so far. And I'm here to help them do that. But and it's like they may have gone to so many other types of people or situations that help them access that or thought they were going to access that, but they haven't hit the nail on the head. And it will take someone saying, like, wait a minute, I noticed that you said this. Does that sound right to you? Does that even describe the person you are? Like, if you think you're a lazy person, but yeah, I don't know, you've done all this stuff, does that sound like a lazy person to you?
Hmm.
You see, it doesn't matter, right? Because if you have a belief that there is something wrong with you, but then the rest of your life completely proves otherwise, it doesn't matter how many things you've achieved because you still believe that there's something wrong with you and that you are like, in this example I use, like a lazy person, but it doesn't match.
You know what's so look, I gotta give you your flowers. You know what's so dope about you is the fact that like you go in and you're not scared to go
No.
in. You go in.
I had problems in school because I wouldn't shut up. I was arguing with principals and teachers and all sorts of stuff. Or like when I graduated, I they're like, "Oh, thank God she's gone."
Hey, I was that guy too. They actually, yeah, I was a class clown. I wasn't even trying to be and just going in like,
Oh,
what do you
I hear
mean?
you. We were
Why?
best friends in high school for
And
sure.
I'm like, because I said so, this doesn't work for me.
Oh yeah, like I just had I was very audacious. Is that the word?
Yeah,
Yeah,
audacious. Wow.
yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. And I
Yeah, I
was
think I think the future is pretty bright. I do see us, and thank you so much. Like I said, I gotta thank you for just your oh my God, just love you so much. It's just like really I think we're going to be able to change the world. And here's why I say that. Because there's a dying need for people who really can see other people telling you, "Hey, we really care about you, but guess what? You're going to still have to turn a wrench." Like if you believe that you can change, something can be done about it. But
yeah.
you also have to believe. Here's a problem that I'm running up against. You have to believe that real technology like this exists. Like there is a real
Mhm.
proven, repeatable, duplicatable process because you can't do life by yourself. You're not lifing if you're doing life by yourself. It really requires a team. It requires people in your corner who you can trust. It requires so many elements that most people haven't even thought about, even probably until now. Like I'm expecting people who listen to this to go back and just really this is gold, just raising awareness.
I can't wait to see where this goes and who comes across it, who comes or gets in touch as a result of this. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're truly awesome, and I know you got to run too. So, let's just put a
I
button
we got some
here.
good stuff here.
Yeah, let's hope and pray that this saves. It more than likely did because it didn't say not record or stop. But again, it'll get better. We're good. I
Let's
just want
record. Yeah, it's saying record the whole
Yeah,
time.
it's recording. Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to make sure though that regardless of however this first one comes out, it is just going to get better and better. But I want people. My challenge. I always like to challenge people. My challenge to everybody is to really go back, listen to this as a critical thinker, not a critical person. I don't think that we've said one thing that people just can't actually try. And again, use your discernment. Is this really me?
Yeah.
Why should I test this? Because I'm not looking, and I know this sounds kind of crass, but I've tried helping people out who don't want help, and it is draining. It's just
No, you gotta be open to it. You gotta understand and you gotta be open to personal development and you gotta be open to gaining new tools. Those are requirements. If you're not open to that process, then like I always say to people, like I can't help you. But if you are open to that process, there's a whole world that awaits you with tools that are gonna set you apart from the rest, you know?
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
thank you again for your time. Much love
Much
and
love to
safe
you, Fred. Hope you
travels.
got what you needed. Thank you. Yeah, let me know how this does.
I'm pretty sure we will.
Yeah, keep me posted on how it does and let me know how it does.
100%. And everybody, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share this channel. Again, you can find us at Signal Clarity, also New Room Collective. And much love and have a prosperous new year, guys.
Happy New Year, guys.
Peace.
Peace.